All right. Well, good afternoon, Florida property owners and investors. I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to view this video on the COVID-19 and the CARE Act. I'm sure that over the past several weeks, you have received literally thousands of emails like I have regarding the COVID-19. And the last thing we wanted to do is to add to that onslaught. Rather, we wanted to reach out to you with fresh information once the situation matured. We've had a lot of different things, whether we watch the media or whether we looked at our emails. It just kind of depends on what we see. But we've had time to look at these things, talk to our professional organizations, and get some interpretations. So first, I want to tell you that with the exception of tenants that have been late making payments in the past month or two on their rents, we've not received any inquiries as to the payment of rent for tenants from our tenants or requests for deferment for April. So this is a good thing. We have reached out to them with information, just with the government, that's provided. We want to make sure that they have the official information on that. Now, Congress and the President moved quickly with the stimulus package, which will provide temporary but immediate assistance to those in need. So those persons that have been laid off, including contract 1099 employees, once eligible, and that means there's a waiting period of time anytime you lose your job before you can apply for benefits, will be able to apply for enhanced unemployment benefits. This makes it more likely that tenants will be able to pay their rent and living expenses. So it's not going to be able to say, well, I'm a contractor employee, I don't pay my taxes out. That's not going to apply here for this temporary assistance, which is great. Now, most states have already put a temporary moratorium on all or some of the evictions. The most common are evictions for non-payment of rent. Here in Florida, the courts, for the most part, they keep saying they're closed. They're not exactly closed, but they're not processing any evictions or a lot of other things for that matter. And this is in effect at least until April 15th. That may be extended depending on how things go. I'll just tell you my own opinion on that later on. Let me take a few minutes to talk about the CARE Act, which in some cases even more restricts the state action. So if you have a property that is backed by a government loan, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, Ginnie Mae, any of those things, we are not permitted to add any late fees or administrative fees or initiate any evictions for non-payment of rent for a period of 120 days. Yeah, that's 4 months. Even after the 120 days, we can't go back and add the late fees on or administrative fees to collect. So what they owe in rent is what they owe in rent. That still stands. So what does this mean to us? Well, we should do everything we can to work with tenants asking for partial or deferred payments for their rent. And along the way, having them sign documents acknowledging that they are not off the hook for any of the rent, only the late fees and administrative fees. As we return to normal state, they will have to pay any back rent or face eviction. So nothing changes as far as that goes. But we have to be out of the crisis mode. From an operational standpoint, if we encounter any tenants asking for relief, we will do all we can to make it work for all concerned. If a tenant asks for something that is unreasonable, type of accommodation that would not normally be granted, we'll reach out to you and discuss it first before we make any decisions. Should it become necessary to do an eviction for these properties that do not have a federally backed loan, we will file eviction as soon as practical. So if courts opened back up on April 15th and we had somebody that didn't pay and we gave them a new 3-day notice, we would file then. For the other properties, we'll seek alternative measures to either get compliance from the tenant, wait the appropriate time before filing an eviction, but at the end of the day, they're not going to live there for free. Again, I don't see this being an issue with most of our tenants, so I think we're in reasonably good shape, at least at this point. From my particular perspective, my feeling about a lot of this is, and I've been a health and safety instructor for 32 years. This whole thing has gotten so far out of whack because just people have not practiced good hygiene. They've not washed their hands, cough in people's faces, sneezing, things like that, failure to cover. So typically, if we compare this to H1N1, and I've looked at the experts, and I've kind of looked at it myself, and I kind of come up with a parallel thing here. It runs around a 6 to 8 week period of huge growth, and then it starts on decline. So if that follows that, I think we should find sometime in the middle of this month, middle of about April 15th. From that point on, we should see it on a decline. Now, that doesn't mean it totally goes away. It doesn't mean it'll be not some new infected people. And also, as the winter changes from hemisphere to hemisphere, that may travel back down to the southern hemisphere, and we may see a variety that come back next winter. But I think for the long haul, I think the government's working really hard to find the right treatments. The FDA approved very quickly some of the treatments, like the malaria drug with the Z-Pak, this different stuff. So that seems to have worked on, I think they said 99% of the folks that they've tried it on. So overall, main thing is stay safe and go from there. So hope that this video has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Rosa or myself. We'll certainly contact you if we have any particular issues that affect your property. But we want you and your family to be safe. You'll certainly be in our prayers, and that you have a great exit from this pandemic, and that everyone is well. I hope you all take care, and again, please call if you need anything. Thanks.